Hello, everybody, all the viewers out there. Welcome to another edition of the Camino Talks podcast. My guest today is John Rutkowski. Thank you for joining us here today, John.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
And apologies to everybody for the technical difficulties getting launched today. Life is just that little bit more complicated sometimes when you're trying to navigate conversations across multiple continents. But we're here now, and we're delighted to have John with us today. John, I'd like to get you started with a sort of a nice, easy question. What has walking meant to you over the course of your life?
Well, I started in the outdoors at age 6. My family camped for 3 weeks across the United States, and there were no interstates back then. There were no autobahns, no interstates. So you're just on back roads. But then in high school, I started walking more. We all between that time we'd camp out in the woods, and we had a nice creek behind our house.
Mm-hmm.
But I then started walking the Appalachian Trail in small bits. Then in college, I got way more into rock climbing. So if I'm walking somewhere, it's to get to a climb, not. And always the rock climbers are going, "Oh, we don't want to walk; it's too far."
Yeah, hikers and rock climbers, the age-old enemies, are they?
So in college, I spent a lot of time in the White Mountains, New Hampshire, which is the worst weather in the world. If you can survive up there, you can survive anywhere.
Makes Everest seem like a breeze.
That's right. Highest recorded winds, and some pretty severe. It was down at 26 below Fahrenheit once when I was up there, which I think crosses over centigrade at about that point. So I didn't do it when my son, who's 30 now, when he was start getting young, I took him up into the White Mountains, and so he did the presidential traverse at like age 6, I guess. It was kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
So we stayed at the huts, and then I've done numerous walks all over the place. And right now, at the beginning of October, we're going to go down for the feast in West Virginia. We're hiking there, and I do all the cooking, and because we used to be just dirt poor climbers, with no didn't have 2 farthings to rub against one another, and we thought those people in that Germany Valley were super rich. They had just a fantastic place there. So I have some cabins we rent, and it'll be the prime color season. So
fantastic.
I've done various other trails. I walked in 2019 after recovering from certain surgeries. I had prostate and kidney surgeries in 2017, 2018. So we walked the Hadrian's Wall from the Irish Sea to the North Sea, and that's when we got hooked on the follow the Camino method of walking. So you get our you're carrying water and rain gear, and then you get to where you're going, and your bags are there. Take a shower, put on a fresh set of clothes, and then have a pint or two, and go to bed, get up in the morning, do it again. So
civilized, very civilized way of doing it.
Yeah, very civilized. It's, I say, American Express camping. So Dave, one of my college friends, Dave Martin, who walked the Camino, Hadrian's Wall, who I not seen since '76. We wandered in, and the only person everybody knew in that trip was me. And Dave, I suggested Dave says, "Hey, ever think about wanting to do one of the Caminos?" And because there are 20 of them, a lot of people think there's only one Camino. There's plenty of Caminos. And he goes, "I've always wanted to do that." And I go, "Okay." And so that was like in September, and we booked our flights in December, and got over there on April 11th this past year. And
Okay.
I
And how was
by the way, retired on April 1st. Sorry, they're cutting the grass. There's a guy
and
going.
had you actually retired, or was this what you had told everybody, given the day that was in it?
I retired on April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Yeah, it wasn't a joke for everybody then. It was you had actually retired and you were ready
Well,
to start a new
well,
adventure.
I had my own business for 36 years, and then I formed this cooperative, and then they started buying IT businesses, and then I rolled up. That's what they acquired my business, and I worked for about a year and a half, um, doing cloud migrations and teaching other staff members. But first it was like 12/31, and they go, no, come down to Texas. We'll have a party for you. Okay, it's January 16th, and they go, oh no, we've got some new guys hiring in. Can you stay to the end of February? Okay, I'll say to 2/29, which is also
Yeah.
a very interesting date. And then I was in 2/28. I was standing on the train platform going up to New York, and I go, we got another project coming on, and nobody knows how to do this. Can you stay? Okay, I'll stay to the end of March. But guys, I got plane tickets. I'm leaving.
Yeah. Once I'm at the airport, I'm officially checked out then.
That's right.
Okay, well, congratulations. I hope you're enjoying your retirement. Clearly, embarking on a long distance walk in Europe is a fairly interesting way of celebrating. What was the inspiration behind the Camino?
Well, my friend Dave did it, and there was some article written somewhere that I saw about it. And then when Dave said, well, I've always wanted to walk the Camino, that was on his bucket list, wasn't on mine. Um, and also one of my friends, Sandy Shea, who used to work for me at my business I had 36 years ago, and we were housemates for a while. But he's the one who did these shirts for us. The Camino de Pinguinos Perdidos, the Walk of the Lost Penguins.
And did you see any penguins along the way, or was that
No,
your guys? Okay.
did not see any penguins along the way. That was mostly just the joke sort of came out of out of somewhere, out of thin air. Somebody. So when we started talking about it, and then we said, okay, let's do it like Hadrian's Wall. And first, let's look at the other Caminos. And we decided, Dave said, I don't think I can swing, a 30-day walk. Let's find something smaller. So, we did the Camino Portuguese sur la Costa.
Okay.
Route
Beautiful route.
From Oia up to Santiago. Dave had his son, who was 40, and Sandy Shea and I. So we were the four penguins.
And I guess you're by the coast, so it's still keeping in the theme of seaside penguins. It all sorts of ties in together there.
Yeah. Well, it was, again, it came out of like thin air, and then we started doing AI pictures. So if you look on my blog that was on thetrek.co, I have a number of other AI generated penguins walking along the coast. And of course, they're walking towards you, and the ocean is on the left. So it means they're not walking in the right direction to Santiago. They got to be walking the ocean on their left. So
maybe they've done it.
That may have started the Lost Penguins, because they're walking in the wrong direction.
And so, given this was your first Camino, did you have any expectations going into it? Had you done any research? Had you seen, most importantly, had you seen the Martin Sheen film? Did you have any idea of what you're in for?
I had seen the Martin Sheen film, because actually Dave brought that up, and he says, "Oh, look at the way." Read about it. I picked up a guidebook at REI for the main the French way, and so I had idea about that, but we said, I'm not too keen on bed bugs. So we can afford staying in hotels, and quite frankly, the hotels are significantly cheaper than the hotels in the UK when we're walking Hadrian's Wall. So, on average, it costs us about $800 a week to stay at the hotels. So we did like a 7 or 9 day week. We had 2 days in. We had 2 days down in Oya. We spent an extra day in Oya, sort of get over our jet lag, and then we had an extra day in Santiago.
Brilliant chance for you to catch kind of what those two cities are about yourselves.
Yeah, we hit the church during the Pilgrim's Mass, and I got all of it. I have my passport and my Compostello and my mileage and framed, and so I have them on the walls upstairs.
Another proud pilgrim, excellent.
So we researched around and go, oh, follow the Camino can do what we did in Hadrian's Wall, and then we looked at the hotels. They said, oh, that looks pretty good. I mean, we're not looking for anything super fancy, but nice bed, clean, a shower, and of course.
Well, then you mentioned clean clothes and a few pints every night. That was hopefully on your itinerary as well.
What was that?
You had mentioned before clean clothes and a few pints every evening to celebrate.
Yes.
Hard walking.
Yeah, it's much easier way. And normally, what we found out in the Camino is about every 2 hours there would be a cafe. So you get a cafe solo double, double espresso, and then you walk another 2 hours, get another shot of caffeine, and usually only by about 3 o'clock that maybe say, well, I'm kind of hungry. I'll stop and have a bocadillo, almana queso, and have a beer, but only about 3 o'clock. And then we were planning on only walking another, hour or two.
So you're well fueled throughout the day, at least.
Yeah. So, for the most part, you can walk a lot lighter. You don't have to take a lot of food with you. And we didn't, I walked from Santiago to Finisterre by myself. Originally, Sandy was going to come with me. Dave's son, Philip, came down with plantar fasciitis on the last half of the last day, that 30-kilometer day into Santiago, which is all uphill, which means you're stretching your Achilles tendon or the bottom of the foot there. But he had gotten his stamp for the day, and so he did get his Compostello.
Okay.
The only thing I didn't see, that I did not see the Milky Way, because we were usually in bed by 9 o'clock, but I wanted to go see the Milky Way because the theory is from the ancient pilgrims that the Milky Way hit where Compostello is, and that's how they found their way. They weren't following yellow arrows.
They were following yellow arrows and signposts everywhere now.
Yeah.
But look, that's probably a good sign. If you were so exhausted from a good day of walking and, good food and a comfortable bed every evening that you couldn't make 10 o'clock, then that's probably a good sign as well.
Well, that's also a problem in Spain because the restaurants don't open until 8 many times.
Yeah. And had you ever visited Spain or Portugal before?
No. Nope.
Okay. So your first time being totally immersed in that new culture.
Yes. I know a little bit of Spanish, I studied German in high school, and French. My German's much better. I studied a little bit of Russian, and then just picked up all the conversational phrases in Spanish. And so, in walking the Camino, you say "Buen Camino" to any fellow travelers, and then usually ask, "Okay, where are you from?" And if they come back and that they're from France, I'll start trying to speak in French. Or German. There are a lot of Germans. You can hear them coming from a long ways away.
Usually travel in groups.
Well, yeah. Well, typically the Germans seem to be four women chatting. Quite the Kiwis and the Kiwis are usually mother-daughter combinations. The Kiwis are usually I won't say older women, but women the same age as me. walking. I'm 71.
So sprightly young things is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And then, then I did run into an 85-year-old Italian woman walking the Camino. So I would always, in my blog, I write every day who I met, from what countries: Cuba, Georgia. Always people would, when I would talk to them, and then they go, "And where are you from?" And I go, "Well, I'm from the United States." And they go, "You don't sound American. You sound like you're Dutch, or or British."
Okay.
So
do you hear that yourself?
I didn't see too many Americans we ran into a couple, but not as many. But it was very friendly walking the trail. If you had stopped and you were, like trying to adjust a shoe or something like that, or I was soaking my feet in one of those washing things they built around the village. I know nobody's going to drink out of the water. So, but, I go, "Oh, you have a problem with blisters, you need some help." And, and I would also help, if I saw anybody. So everybody is looking out for everybody else. Totally safe. Even in the cities, I didn't have any concerns over safety. And in Spain, everybody was friendly. I was reading about problems in Barcelona and Lisbon. But so then when we got there, I had arranged to then walk to Finstère, which is about another 5-day walk to the ends of the earth, is on the Costa de la Morte, the coast of death.
Eminently named.
Apart from all the shipwrecks, yeah.
Yeah.
And so only on the, I met up with people I met the prior day, the two Kiwis again, a German colonel and his wife who was a water quality specialist, an Icelandic guy. Boy, his accent was all over the place, because one, you sound like American, now you sound like you're German, now you sound something I don't know what it is.
Some Scandinavian.
So I go, where are you from? He goes,
Yeah.
but I lived in Detroit at age 15. Then I was in the U.S. Army. He was in the U.S. Army, and then he lives in Germany, and he's walking with a Norwegian doctor who just finished her medical degree in Cyprus. So
wow,
very interesting.
Everywhere in the world.
Yeah, very interesting stories of people. So if nothing else, you just say Buen Camino, and I also would help offer. "Oh, you want me to take a picture?" Yeah. Nobody ran off with a phone, or somebody would come up to me and say, "You want a picture?" Sure.
I think that's one of the unique things about the Camino, is it has this spirit of community and camaraderie that you wouldn't get in. You certainly wouldn't get in. You mentioned a Barcelona or a Lisbon. You wouldn't necessarily get that just on the street. Would you trust somebody to stop and take a photo of you? Maybe a lot of the time, but not all of the time. And there is this feeling of everybody looking out for each other. Everybody's moving in the same direction. Everybody knows that they are there for a reason, and they have their own struggles or, something in life that they're working through, and nobody wants to hinder that. Everybody wants everybody's journey to find a satisfactory conclusion. So did you find it kind of easy to build that Camino family? Like, you saw the same people day after day?
We have that in the Appalachian Trail. You get what's called a tramily, trail family, that is a bubble that sort of, you're ahead of the bubble, behind the bubble, that walks along. And that's the same with the Camino. Certain people I met on one day, I don't see them for 2 days, I see them again, and sort of share what did you eat, where'd you stay, category.
And did you get into kind of any deep conversations with the pilgrims that you met along the way? We get a lot of accounts of people who they will, end up, they'll say Buen Camino to somebody in the morning, and by lunchtime they're kind of, they're talking about the weather, and then by the evening time they're sharing a meal and sharing their life story, problems with their family, whatever it might be. Did you find that kind of intimate connection with people?
There is a fair amount of that. It was like I walked with the Camino that's, one's a midwife and the other one is a doula. And but they were often there. It was winter down end of summer, and they came over to there. They were doing the auberge stay, so they were jealous that I had a nice big bed.
Okay, all right. And
But
actually,
yeah,
did
we
you go?
stop and we meet up for a meal, and you talk about various things in life and what's going on. So I'm not super religious. There is a vibe of it. I would stop at little roadside chapels. Usually get a stamp. You stamp and then you maybe read somewhat of the history of it and what's going on. So people have made this trip for a long time, and there was, I think, in your literature from the Camino of how to prepare spiritually, or you had a link to it. It said, go to your parish priest and get a blessing. Oh, I don't have a parish priest. So I thought my German, as I mentioned, I studied German in high school. My German teacher was oh, I just blanked on the religious order.
Lutheran?
No. It's Catholic. Not August.
Benedictine?
No. They're smaller order. As soon as I stop thinking about it, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
But anyhow, he was retired up at an abbey, like about an hour north of me, and I emailed him and said, "Hey, John Rutkowski, remember me?" And so he said, "Sure, come up for mass, and we'll have a meal." And so I and then he blessed. I got everybody the little sword of St. James on a little thing to go that. One of my other guys had pins you put on hats, but he blessed that, and then I got him one of these stainless steel, not stainless, silver, sterling silver ones, and then it was over at the mass that the bishop was on. He's blessing everybody. Okay, well, you bless this, and so I took it back to him. I walked back in, and he goes, there's John. He went to the Camino and came back cured. And I go, what? Do you know something I don't know?
Yeah. Whatever it is, I'm glad you were cured of it.
Well, I'm not cured, but I'm in stage 4 prostate cancer. So there is no stage 5. And then I found a spot in my lung and one in my liver that I'm working on right now. But, and I just got over COVID. I had a COVID for a week ago. I only tested negative last night, finally.
But in time for you it's not
out.
going to disrupt you going down to Virginia for the feast, at least.
No, I'll be back in shape from that. I was in the middle of chemo when I did the feast in 2022, so I had no hair, and I could barely walk uphill, anything flat, downhill, fine, uphill, just even like stairs just killed me.
But you still were motivated to go and to keep going as much as possible. So being active is clearly a big motivation for you, and it's something that's been important throughout your life, from rock climbing through to now, even taking your son out to the White Mountains from such a young age. Can you give me a little bit of sort of your thoughts behind that? Why is being active so important to you, and how did it help you?
Well, I mean, it's you are in your body, you're present. You got to be present the moment. When I turned 40, I got my pilot's license, and I've owned 3 airplanes and flown. But I liked it because I worked in IT. So you're thinking about stuff, a 1,500-page book is light reading, you have to read at night about something. But you had to be in what the psychologists call flow state, that you're in that moment. You can't think of anything else. You have to be present, be in tune with what you're doing, and not be disrupted by other thoughts. So walking many times is in that flow state. I usually don't listen to music when I'm walking. I'll listen to what birds I hear, or what critters are walking around. But it is getting into, it's somewhat a meditative state, but, you're in your body and you said, okay, yeah, this, I feel I'm walking. I go, well, I can get about 3 more miles. But, my friend, in August, I went out to Boise, Idaho for a week with another old college buddy, and we went hiking around there. And the first day was along the river, and we're walking on pretty flat ground going downstream. And then he goes, okay, you want to turn around now? I go, well, I'm getting a little tired. And he goes, but there's a pub about a mile down the way. We can stop and get lunch. I go, okay, go down, get a beer, eat some protein. And so that was a 9-mile walk that day. But I really, if, planning the Camino again, no 30-kilometer last days. It's, especially that incline. It's, you're starting at the coast and you're walking uphill that last day.
And you really start to feel it then.
The profile is, that was just beat coming in there.
But and so tell me about then the feeling of walking into the piazza and seeing the Cathedral de Santiago there.
Well, we were already sort of there. My friends were there the day before I got in, because they booked flight either 2 days ahead or 1 day ahead, however it worked out for them. So Sandy and I walked into that. He already knew where it was, so we were guiding there, and then I'm going, okay, where's the Pilgrim office? Is someplace over there. Where is it? There's one thing I would recommend on YouTube is Shantiago, Shantiago. So it's a song about the French way in a sea shanty style.
Okay.
But it captures all of the spirit and the doubts and maybe the joy that you get. And it's a very good song, and he had images made up in the video. They were also AI generated, but they matched quite well. And especially at the end, the haunting flute that's played under the tunnel. If you come in from the French way, you're coming in from the northeast, and you go down through this tunnel right next to the cathedral. Really, it's just a big archway, but you usually have bagpipers or the Spanish flute players there, because it has a great echoing sound.
Actually, did that surprise you, encountering the Galician bagpipes as you entered?
It's not really. I heard of them, and the day before. Hold on a second. I'm getting a little emotional.
The pipes.
We were walking. We were on the last day into that. We were down low, and we were walking through some vineyards, and then went into woods, and then you hear the pipes. Where is this? You walk along, you're getting closer, you're getting louder. There's one guy playing the pipes out there, and right before the turn, all the way up to another place you could stop for a cafe, and before you were hitting the road walk into the Camino.
Okay.
So I'm looking at doing other walks. There is a walk that started from Reading in the UK down to Southampton, and then you can take a ferry across to Santander, and then you can walk either the English way or the Primitivo. And there's also a walk that someone's arranged of the lighthouses along the coast, although I think that may be a little bit rainier. We had great weather in April. Only I had rain about the last 2 hours walking from Finisterre to the peninsula, the Finisterre. And but when I got there, blue sky broke out. I found this little bar that sat like 6 people in. I had a beer there and a big bocadillo, and walked out on the balcony. It was just nice blue sky, no wind.
Turned it on for you in time for photos to finish.
That's right. Yeah, it's picture of me pointing at the 0.00 marker. That's the only thing you didn't see. Once you sort of got close to Santiago, a lot of the directions just disappeared. I never saw them. But you just look for the cathedral.
Yeah,
you can't. Sticking up.
And I guess they probably figure a lot of people decide to celebrate a little early, maybe, and go in for that glass of wine and that big lunch, and then stroll to the cathedral at the end of the day. So, yeah, well, a lot of people, the Camino might stop there.
It could be, but boy, we were just sweating and drenched in sweat, and for the most part, it wasn't hot, but it was just a long grind uphill. I mean, not a steep uphill, but
but that gradual
12 kilometers of just a steady grade, and we were just kind of wiped out that day.
Well, actually, mentioning the one of the walking routes you'd like to do, John, this may be of interest to the viewers as well. Follow the Camino are fairly soon going to be launching a new extended route for the Camino del Norte. So that starts in San Sebastian, and at the moment, you go from San Sebastian to Bilbao to Santander, Ribestella, and then you cut inland to Oviedo, and you connect with the Camino Primitivo. We're now going to be extending the Camino del Norte route from Ribestella, and it will travel all the way along the Asturian coast and then cut inland to Santiago. So if you're interested in doing that Reading to Southampton leg, a ferry over to Santander, you can now do that all the way along the coast if you're interested. And for anybody else who might be interested in knowing that.
That'd be fine.
It's something we're pleased to be finally launching and working on it for a while.
One of the other benefits of Follow the Camino is they knew where it was really crappy walking. It says, here, we'll send a taxi to you, and you jump over this like heavy industrial area. Or once I was going to stay 2 nights in Say, Cee, Say. Great garbanzo bean stew there. It's right after I came down that long descent from the plateau. As you can see, I'm kind of food driven. But then I didn't stay. I walked out and got out there with the rain, and then took the taxi back, and then I had the guy pick me up and take me back to Santiago.
Okay, so it's just handy to have that option to cut out kind of boring stretches.
Well, or just reconnect where you need to go. You got to the end, now you got to get back. So it was nice having that in there. Like we had the shuttle from Compostela down to Oya for all of us. That was quite handy. And then I looked in the bus route, and I hadn't ridden a bus for 50 years since I was in college. And I go, okay, there's one for like $26 I can get from Santiago down to Porto. And so when I was done my walking, I couldn't get my flight changed, so it was a pain in the neck. So I had to go back to Santiago no matter what. But I went down to Porto and walked for 5 days down there. So between all the walks, it's about 300 kilometers.
Wow.
Is what I walked between.
You're really putting miles into those walking shoes.
Yeah, 150 in and 90 out to Finstare, and then a bunch.
And then around Porto as well. Porto is a beautiful city. It's very walkable, very livable, full of culture. A lovely city, and a nice way to end the trip.
Well, I did get and we stayed in Galicia, not Galicia. Same name as a mapping app, Gaia. So they booked me in a hotel in Gaia, and then so I could take the tram or the light rail, over into Porto itself. And I went to this one little. I said, the whole port warehouses is kind of a Disneyland, and I wasn't too keen about that. But I said, I'll go to one. I picked this one way at the end at the bridge where I can walk back across. And so I went down there and got a ticket for an English tour, and I had about 45 minutes to kill. So I was walking across that bridge, and I go, God, I just feel so young, happy. that was the key, because it's like I'm in a new town, learning new language, um, and confident in my travels. So I was a little iffy about walking by myself, or that other Camino, but like you said, or like I said, you're never really alone.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have solitude if that's what you're looking for, but you're never alone.
Yep.
And tell me quickly there, John. How did you go about, or how did your group go about organizing your Camino tour? Did you look at doing it independently to begin with? Did you look at other operators? How did you end up with Follow the Camino, and what did you think of our services?
Um, it One is, we were going to walk like we walk Hadrian's Wall with a service. We use Sherpa van to go move our bags from day to day, and then book some of the stuff out. And then I was looking for something similar, and we hit on you, and then I said, "Hey, we're thinking of walking this route. Give me an idea what this would cost." And we got a rough itinerary back, and say, here's some of the places, and they go, oh, they all look nice. And especially the Follow Camino was, you have people who just do bags but not booking. So and you could, I just wanted a package, and you had an app, although the app is really weird, because you open it and it gives you're down in Africa, because for some reason there was a taxi, and take a taxi here was way down in Africa, for whatever reason.
It's a comprehensive taxi service, John. It's what we can offer.
Yeah. Well, it was bad coordinates in where that taxi was, but so there was a Follow Camino. We also used. I'm looking at my phone. I used Camino Ninja to actually do a little bit better mapping of where it was, and I use Hiker to record, my route, and also do the altitude, and that's what I post every day over on the blog. And I had a formula of how many miles, where did I go, what was the trail like, who did I meet out there, and then I have tons of photos that I post up. So but I found, we looked at it, we sent it, we got an immediate response, and then I shared it with the other guys and go, yeah, that sounds good, well, let's do that. And then we had to massage it down, that, okay, this guy's going to come in 2 days earlier, this guy's going to come in 1 day earlier, and they were able to adjust that. And then we put our deposit down, then we paid the amount before we went. So
fantastic. I'm glad that it all worked out so well.
Yeah. And then, it said, okay, hey, we have help, 24/7, and if you get a jam, and so that's always handy. We didn't do anything that caught the attention of the policia.
Nothing that you'll admit to anyway.
Nope. So, it was a pleasant experience, and that's what we were looking for. We wanted a fairly no stress. We said, okay, we got to leave here and go there. Okay, and that looks fine. Like I said, the only thing I would change is not 30 kilometers on the last day from, and after the second to last day, one other Camino joined in, and so all of a sudden there's this big herd of zombies walking this way, and then we joined in with that big zombie crew.
Everybody sweaty, tired, ready to be finished, and have that feeling of relief wash over them that they're done.
Yeah, can be. Yeah, again, that Santiago in YouTube, if you throw it in a link out there, or I can go find it. But that was it's an excellent song that captures the whole spirit. And yeah, that guy, he's crying at the end.
And tell me, what made the Camino so different from the likes of a walk you would have done in the White Mountains or in Appalachia, or any walk you've done in the States?
Well, for one, it is more urban / suburban. The Camino's got a lot of road walking. So if you want a lot of trail walking, really only about maybe 50% of the Camino is in trails or woodlands. A lot of back roads, a lot of there was one trail, although there's one trail on the first day. We're walking up the coast, and I see this peninsula come up, and there's a little dip pot, and I go, I bet you we're going over that pass, because I'm looking at the map, and I go, yeah. And then we cross the road, and then we're walking through sort of a gravel road, and then it goes to a trail, and we're going up away. I'm by myself at this point in time, but then I see the rocks here, and the rocks are worn in like swales. And while I saw some horse manure behind me, but horses usually, if they're walking, it's a U-shaped path that they wind in. It's not, but this was like this. And then not till we got the other side that my friend stopped in at this house that had some tea and coffee, and found out that those were the Roman cart paths worn in granite. That they, that was a lot of wagons going back and forth to go wear that into the terrain. That was sort of the most in the woods walk there, about a quarter of the day. And then you pop out in the suburbs of, can't remember that town other than I'd pull up the map and go look.
But so it's a lot more facilities, a lot more urban.
Yeah, it's a lot more urban. Right now, when I first started working the Appalachian Trail, there were no hostels. There were just the shelters on there, but there weren't any facilities. And a lot of facilities to build up, and a lot of shuttles to take you down into town, take you back to the trail. We would just have to stick our thumbs out and go hitchhike. So there's more of that. What I was thinking of doing is Dave and I were thinking of starting a company, just because the Appalachian Trail in the United States does not have the equivalent of the Pilgrim's Passport, nor a certificate that you've walked it. And I'm going to say, hey, we could do this as a digital QR code, geofenced, and we put these QR codes all along the Appalachian Trail, and then you get a certificate when you're done.
Why not?
And then it also allows Dave and I to write off our walking that we just take,
it's all market research.
A van or something, we park at one road crossing. He walks one way an hour, I walk another way an hour. Put our QR codes up, turn around, come back, get around, drive to the next one. So, we were thinking of trying to take some of the Camino aspect of the Pilgrim's Passport. One thing you got to tell people is you're supposed to date those stamps, because they didn't start dating the stamps if we went in. Originally it was just stamp, and then we saw people stamping and then writing the date and go, ooh, we should go back and write the dates on all those
retroactively. Well, that's funny. Actually, you mentioned a Camino outside of Europe. The last person we interviewed for the podcast was a lady from Perth in Australia, and she was talking about them setting up Camino trails in kind of the national parks around Perth. So there's nothing that says you can't replicate the spirit of that in the New World. You just have beauty and you have nature and you have people who want to be out and reflect on that. So listen, John, you've been this has been really great. I've just got one more question for you, which is if you have any advice to offer to people if they were considering doing a Camino themselves, how should they do it? It might be about packing, it might be about planning for the weather, it might be about what to expect or not to expect. What's kind of your big tip?
Even though I'm an expert backpacker for many years, I still took too much on this trip because it was in an unknown terrain. So, it even said take a change of clothes in your pack was one of your advice, and I'll ditch that. I won't do that again. But rain gear, an umbrella, because for the sun. So if you go find a nice lightweight little one, tan rather than black, so you can shade yourself from the sun. I only got sunburn on my face and on the back of my hands a little bit, and I didn't put enough sunscreen on, and/or we had the sun to our back all day, and then we turned in, and then it was beating on the side of my face. Dry out your socks every night. I keep a fresh pair so I had a town outfit of sandals, closed-toe sandals, another dark pair of pants, and a little bit different. Still want something long sleeve like this. By the way, this getting one of these, but I would get it all in white, not black camo, but getting that to keep the sun off your head is quite beneficial. I did
And something with penguins on it if you can.
I did did take trekking poles for that. Put rubber tips on them because that click 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 drives everybody bonkers. And you don't have to take a lot of water. I took too much water because I didn't know exactly what the terrain would be. But like I said, about the bathrooms in Spain at these little cafes were cleaner than anywhere else in the world I've ever been. And I had I would still filter my water because I'm just immunocompromised. But you could always, every 2 hours, stop at a cafe, get a coffee, go to the bathroom, fill up with water. The water was always potable. Never said, don't drink this. So I would really only walk with maybe 2 liters of water, 1 liter water, 1 liter in like electrolytes. And that was more than enough. So a couple of days there, I took 3 liters in my back and then 1 on my pocket, outside pocket of my pack. So, cut down on the weight, cut down on how many outfits you're going to have, because you can do laundry, and the laundries include soap now these days. In the early days when I went to Europe, finding soap to go put in the washing machine was a chore. Now they're all with soap. So we do laundry about every 5 days. And
okay, so you won't need as much as you think you will. Keep it simple.
Yeah, you won't need as much. And my town clothes is what I'd wear on the plane flying back and forth.
Okay, fantastic. John, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you having the chat with me, even with all the technical difficulties. And thank you to everybody who's still with us watching. John, a pleasure. Thank you again to everybody watching. And we will catch you again for another episode of the Camino Talks in the future. All right.
Buen Camino.
Buen Camino. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right. Bye.